Aloha friends and welcome back to the channel. We recently returned from a week-long stay at Disney's Aulani Resort in Ko Olina, Hawaii on the island of Oahu. And today I'm bringing you an overview of the resort itself, as well as our reviews of the restaurants and kind of just what we felt about our time there. If you want to see my complete room tour and my thoughts on getting to Aulani, including our 9-hour flight from Atlanta to Honolulu, I'll put a card up above and also a link in the description box below. Aulani is truly its own destination resort. You could spend several days here and honestly never leave the property. We chose to use it more as a jumping off spot to explore the rest of Oahu, so we didn't spend as much time here as others might, but we still got a great feel for what there is to do and ate at most of the restaurants. There are multiple pools at Aulani, as well as a big beach area where there are plenty of chairs and umbrellas that are free for guests to use. They do have some pay options as well that have, padded chairs, and, you'll have a server that will come over to you to take your orders and things like that. We never paid anything extra though, and really did not feel that was necessary. Although pool chairs were definitely scarce, on the beach itself, we usually had no problem finding a place to settle. As Scott and I are much more ocean swimmers than pool swimmers, this was fine by us. But if you have a family that will be spending the day by the pool, I definitely suggest arriving either early or late in the day. It was kind of shocking to me how many people were down there at 7:30 a.m. staking out their family spot. So just be aware that especially around the popular pool areas, finding a chair can be challenging.
It's about 4:30 right now, and this is when I like to come down to the beach. There's tons of chairs available. I'm not sure you can tell from looking behind me, but starting to cool off a little bit. I'm gonna go get in the ocean. I'm embarrassed to say I've walked around and looked at all of the pools, but I haven't been in any of them because whenever I've wanted to swim, I've been swimming in the lagoon, because for me that is, you can swim in a pool anywhere, but where can you do this?
Our favorite thing to do was to go down to the beach about an hour before sunset. We would watch the sunset from literally inside the lagoon. And honestly, when I think back on this trip, those moments were my absolute favorite. The sunset from here was different every night of our trip, and it's just a lovely way to end the day. I told Scott that when we retire, all I really want is to be able to be in the sea to watch the sunset every night. That's not asking too much, is it? Maybe. Every day, you have to get a wristband and towels from 2 locations located around the pool area, one closer to the beach and one near the lazy river. One tip we had heard was to get the next day's wristband the day before, which you can do anytime after 2 p.m., so we would do that when we would go down for sunset. I never saw anyone checking for wristbands, but I'm fairly sure had we tried to use the slide or get in the lazy river, somebody would have asked, and you do have to show your room key in order to get towels, so that's really important to know. There is also the Rainbow Reef snorkeling area, which has a daily fee or a length of stay pass. We didn't do it, but it looked like a great opportunity if you were introducing kids to snorkeling, or if you had people in your party that were a little nervous about snorkeling in the ocean. There was also an underwater viewing area where you could see the fish in the tank, and that was really fun as well. We had brought our own towels from home. I'll put a link in the description to my favorite microfiber travel towels. They're from Dock and Bay. And this saved us having to wait in line for towels if we were just headed out to the beach, because there were times when there would be a lot of people in that line. I definitely recommend this strategy, even if just to have a towel on your chair to make it obvious to your family where you're set up. There are tons of chairs and they all look exactly the same. As Ko Olina has several lagoon areas, don't be afraid to venture off the Disney one and down the coast a bit. We found the lagoon in front of the Marriott to be much quieter, and it's exactly the same as the Disney one. All the lagoons are open to the public, so no worries there. No one's going to ask why you're down there. And if you walk all the way down to the end, it's about 2 miles round trip, and we loved that walk, especially first thing in the morning. It's very popular with local runners and walkers, so you will have company, but the views are unbeatable, and there's all these grassy areas where you can get great pictures, fabulous views of the coast. It's just magical. If you are into snorkeling, there is a public beach access area at Paradise Cove right next door to Aulani. There's a security guard in the parking lot there that will direct you where to go, but it's much quieter than at Aulani. And there we saw turtles, tons of fish, even saw a wedding happening down there. It's absolutely lovely and easy to access, but don't tell everyone because I like that it's quieter and it is a very small beach area. And I know a lot of locals like to head there as well.
So I'm just to the right of Aulani and I'm headed back that way, but I'm gonna wait a minute because there's an actual wedding ceremony going on. I thought at first they were just taking pictures, but now I realize they're actually getting married right now. So I'm not going to walk by them and disrupt all of that, so I'll just stay here for a minute. So beautiful.
There are several dining options at Aulani, and we ate at most of them. Our first meal was at Off the Hook, and we ended up getting, well, hooked on this place. And I have to say, the cast members are what made this place. The food was fresh, the service was good, the Mai Tai was amazing. I like a really classic Mai Tai, and, just enough said. Wonderful restaurant, definitely a place not to be missed. By the way, today's video is being brought to you by my patrons. I do not do sponsored videos, so through Patreon, I'm able to continue making content. If you'd like to join us and get loads of exclusive content, check the description box just below the video or click on the card above. Mahalo! We also dined at Makahiki, which has a 3-course prefix meal for dinner priced at $70 for adults and $30 for kids. This is also where you'll find the character breakfast. The service here, again, was a knockout, but this is definitely a more upscale place than Off the Hook, and the prices reflect that. Although we loved our meal and the setting cannot be matched. They had live entertainment in the bar area right next door that we could hear while we were eating with amazing performers. But it just was a little bit more than I felt like what the food warranted. It was an expensive meal. Of the 3 places we ate, this was my least favorite and the one I wouldn't necessarily feel the need to go back to. I have heard the character breakfast is very good though, so definitely worth getting a reservation. And they were taking walk-ups for the character breakfast, so if you can't get a reservation in advance, that can be a great option. We were very fortunate that they were doing a soft opening of Amma Amma, which had been closed for months, and we were able to snag a reservation. The meal was superb by any measure. The price is very high at $125 per person, but in our opinion, worth every penny. And you need to know, we're not exactly fine dining people, but this whole experience from beginning to end was just amazing. I can't even describe it. I did the wine pairing for $55 and thought it was a great addition. The pours were exactly the right size for each course, even if you're not a big drinker, and it really made the meal as they explained each wine to me as it was served. I won't go into every dish we ate, mostly because A, I'm not a food critic, and B, they change the menu regularly, but it was all incredible. The service here was 5-star all the way. We had 4 people helping with our table, and we had an extensive chat with either the manager or the sommelier. We never did ask his actual title, who used to work at the Four Seasons on Maui and was such a great resource about the Hawaiian Islands and his experience as a local, someone who's in the hospitality industry. It was an evening I will always remember, yes, because of the food and because of the wine, mostly though because of the cast members and of course because of the incredible setting. And make sure you ask about the backstory of Amma Amma. As is true with everything at Aulani and really everything Disney, right? There's a backstory and you're going to want to hear it because it really does help inform how you experience the restaurant, the architecture, the choices they made when they reopened. It's just beautiful. And I think for adults, you definitely want to make a reservation here if you ever find yourself in Ko Olina. You do not have to be staying at Aulani, by the way, to dine there. That was the case for a while during COVID, but now anyone can dine there. And actually, while we were there was a lot of local press there, and it is very popular with locals as well as with people that are staying at the resort. We never did eat at the quick service, but just because we never saw anything we wanted, and it was always kind of our backup, but we seem to always end up back at Off the Hook. It looked good, and I'm sure especially for breakfast has some great options. They also have pizzas for takeaway, and we saw a lot of people grabbing whole pizzas in the evening and enjoying it poolside or from, any of the beachfront locations. You could hear the live entertainment, you could look at the ocean, you could eat your pizza with your family. Just perfect. Honestly, the evening ambiance here was heavenly, and that was probably our favorite time of day at the resort. We had initially not always intended to be back at the resort in the evenings, but it was so magical and so beautiful that just became our go-to. The one thing we did not experience was the luau, and I've heard great things about it, but it was a little too pricey for us. And we've done other luau's before. We were fine with skipping it, but I'm sure if you have a family, this would be a great addition to your trip. There were tons of Disney touches that we didn't experience, like the popcorn buckets and the refillable mugs, all of those kinds of things. There were, of course, Mickey ice cream bars for sale in multiple places, and you could definitely find Disney if you were looking for it. But one of our biggest concerns about Aulani was that it would feel too Disney and not enough Hawaii. I found this to be happily unfounded, as this resort is absolutely about Hawaiian culture and its people, not Disney IP. You'll definitely find touches, and the characters are there, but they are in the background, where the real star of the show is the culture, music, food, and traditions of Hawaii. I know, for example, the woman that would sing, and they had beautiful dancing going on in the lobby, the storyteller around the fire, no Disney stories to be found. These were all native Hawaiian stories, and I loved that. I know that was Joe Rohde's hope when he designed it. He grew up in Hawaii and was very intent on the focus being on Hawaiians, not on Disney. He said of Aulani when it first opened, "I'm really just very proud of us, the Disney company, for being the first people ever in the history of Hawaii to make a resort that is actually about Hawaii." And you feel that everywhere here. If you're looking for just a great resort vacation, sure, you can find that here. But if you want to learn about the culture and people of Hawaii, which is what I strongly recommend, you will find that here too, and it's truly a beautiful thing to experience. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I'll see you next time. Whatever you're doing, be really good to each other. Mahalo!